I've covered several rare and unreleased games in this channel, obviously, but I haven't really covered accessories, and I'm not really sure if the Sega VR counts, which I don't think so since it doesn't utilize another console to power it. But oddly enough, the subject of today's video is also centered around Sega as well. Now, for those of you new to the channel, we have different categories of videos: our unreleased game series, unreleased console series, and gaming beta series covering betas and alpha versions of video games and uncut content. So with that being said, I had a very difficult time categorizing this video as it's not a console, but it kind of is, and it's not an accessory, but yeah, it kind of is. So hopefully the video will show you what I mean, but I digress. Now, I've said it several times in the past, but it's no secret that the video game market was absolutely flooded by third-party manufacturers in the 90s, wanting to get in on the industry's success and hype. While many did see some form of success, others fell into obscurity, and the thought of what were they thinking comes into one's mind. Now, the focus of today's video revolves around the Sega Mega Drive, or Sega Genesis as it's known in North America, being one of the top contenders in the infamous bit wars of the early 90s. Now, it goes without saying that the Sega Genesis received a lot of attention from both customers and manufacturers alike. Sega was not immune to the awkward attention consoles received regarding player movements and fitness with the likes of the NES's Power Pad and the awkwardly unusable Rollin' Rocker. And so in today's video, we'll be discussing the Sega Heartbeat Catalyst and the Sega Heartbeat Personal Trainer.
Evil Pixel.
Now, first and foremost, I would like to say that there is very little information about the Heartbeat Personal Trainer and Heartbeat Catalyst on the internet, and even less is known about the company behind the Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer, which is Heartbeat Corporation. Now, Heartbeat Corporation was founded by Adam Benjamin, Justin Hall Tipping, and Nick Burton. Adam Benjamin was a business administration major from Providence College. Now, one of the first things that Adam did right after graduating from university was assist in founding the Heartbeat Corporation. Now, eventually, Adam did move on from Heartbeat Corporation, as we will come to learn, but he went on to do great things in other organizations, such as becoming the group director at Facebook. He is now a professor at the very college that he graduated from, Providence College. Now, Nick Burton was a consultant who had his hands on many businesses and organizations throughout his career. Everything from NEC and Mitsubishi to opening up data centers that focused on emergency response initiatives. This was confirmed from a post he made back on the Rise.com business networking site back in 2006, which can still be viewed thanks to the Wayback Machine. And then we have Justin Hall Tipping, a lucrative businessman who, like the others, has had his hands on several organizations and always sought ventures in innovating technologies. Now, after partnering with Adam and Nick and creating Heartbeat Corporation, the company was sold to Sega and Justin moved on to other ventures. Now, fun fact is that he's currently the CEO of Nano Holdings, a technological resource organization. And Justin has also been on TED Talks recently speaking about his various projects and endeavors. The Heartbeat Catalyst, the Heartbeat Personal Trainer, and one game, Outback Joey, all made its first appearance at the Winter CES 1994 game show, along with a wide array of other groundbreaking video games and computer technology. Innovation was definitely on the rise, and every organization wanted to be ahead of the game. This convention was covered very heavily by the media due to the rise of tech at the time, both nationally and internationally. Now, the Heartbeat Catalyst / Personal Trainer was offered in two different forms. One was an add-on to your Sega Genesis for those who would like to experience what the Heartbeat Personal Trainer had to offer. This consisted of external sensors that the player would attach to their bodies so that the system could receive vital signs from the player. This was referred to as the Heartbeat Catalyst and was made available to purchase for $199. And the other was its own standalone Sega Genesis console with the Heartbeat Catalyst integrated into the system that was available for purchase for $299. This was referred to as the Heartbeat Personal Trainer. The patent for the Heartbeat peripherals is public for all to see, and according to said patent, the sensors that make the catalyst work are quote-unquote speed sensors that measure the speed with which an exercise machine is being used. A second input is from the heart rate monitor that is attached to the person using the machine. And the third input is from a joystick that's used by the exerciser. Now in line 33 of clause 4 of the patent, it states that the machine of the video game are altered to integrate an individual's exercise routine. Now in other words, it's stating that games are slightly changed to incorporate the heartbeat peripheral. This means that the games are not all necessarily original. They would simply change already existing games. Now we'll talk about that a little later on. But let's take a dive into the Heartbeat Catalyst and the Heartbeat Personal Trainer itself. The Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer were released on November 24th, 1993, with a less than impressive release. In fact, sales were so low that the developer immediately started second guessing the set price of both the peripheral and the standalone console. Not even a year after its release, Heartbeat Corporation stopped production of all remaining software and hardware as they were selling all tangible assets and attempting to acquire funding elsewhere. Heartbeat Corporation was eventually transferred to a sister company who in turn sold off all of its assets and individually dissolved in 1997. Now only 4 games were ever made for the Heartbeat Personal Trainer or Heartbeat Catalyst. Those 4 games were NHLPA Hockey, PGA Tour Golf 2, Outworld 2375 AD, and Outback Joey. There were apparently talks of making a version of Earthworm Jim compatible with the Heartbeat Catalyst, but concepts never made it to light. Now each game had its own way to incorporate the Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer in the way that the game is played to incorporate the fitness gimmick of the peripheral. Now let's quickly run through some of these games. Now, NHLPA Hockey is pretty much a revamped version of EA's NHLPA Hockey 1993. The main difference between the two is that the original was made to be used alongside the Sega Genesis controller, and that's pretty much it. Nothing was known of the game other than a few mentions of it in the media. That is until the 6th of October of 2021, when a picture of the box for the game surfaced and uploaded by user Cartridge Culture in the Sega Retro forums. Now there was also a lot of mystery involving NHLPA Hockey's release, as no one is sure if it ever even had an official release. Many believe that it was a special mail-in order exclusive directly from the Heartbeat Corporation. Now luckily in June of 2023, collector Brian Nocenti revealed that he had a prototype of the game in his possession. He then donated his copy to Hidden Palace for it to be dumped to the public. The game was then dumped by user Missile from the forums. Another game released for the Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer was PGA Tour Golf 2. Now this game was a sequel to the standard Sega Genesis release PGA Golf Tour. This game had a very peculiar release as it was supposedly released in 1995 after the Heartbeat Catalyst was already discontinued. This game was dumped to archive.com back in May of 2023 by Internet Archive user Isaiah MV. Now a few months later, the same collector that dumped NHLPA Hockey 1993, Brian Nocenti, dumped a different build of PGA Tour Golf 2 to the Hidden Palace site. Now there's nothing much to say about this game, it's just golf. The third game made for the Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer was a video game that we recently made a video about called Outworld 2375 AD. So check it out if you'd like to support the channel, I really appreciate it, thank you so much, I'll leave the link in the description below. Now, Outworld 2375 AD had a very debatable release. Are you starting to pick up the trend here? Yeah. So, the debatable release is that it isn't really sure if this game actually had a retail release. Now, thankfully, there is a cartridge and box floating around within the retro gaming collecting community, and the game has been dumped for all to enjoy. Outworld utilized the motion sensors to have the players physically move to have the game's character move on screen. For a closer in-depth look at the interesting background on the game, check out our deep dive that we did on the game. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, the fourth game released on the Heartbeat Catalyst and Personal Trainer was Outback Joey. Now, Outback Joey was a pack-in game that came included with the purchase of the Heartbeat Catalyst or Personal Trainer. Of all four games, it is said that Outback Joey is probably the rarest of the group, because what we have is an already obscure rare peripheral for a console packed with a game that was quickly forgotten about by gamers, which was then shoved in a cabinet somewhere or lost altogether. And so somehow Outback Joey became a highly sought after collectible amongst the community. Now, as far as gameplay, Outback Joey runs off of stamina, which is based on the player's heart rate and how long the player wants the workout to be. If the player's heart rate falls too low or climbs too high, Joey becomes exhausted until the player recovers. And of course, if Joey doesn't finish his lap in the allotted time, the game is over. A very simple concept to incorporate the Heartbeat Catalyst or Personal Trainer. Now, I know that nowadays the whole physical fitness gimmick being incorporated into gaming is very much dried up at this point, with things such as the Xbox Kinect, the Wii, and even the Switch, to name a few. But back in the early 90s, these concepts and ideas were innovating, as useless as they may have seemed by today's standards. I mean, look at things such as the Rollin' Rocker, the Activator, the Aura Interactor, the Handy Boy, and a freaking Wu-Tang PlayStation controller. Well, that's actually pretty cool. I actually like that. But there's so many to name that their functionalities are debatable at best and don't really warrant their existence. But it's their very concept that helped push the video game industry to what it is and what it's currently evolving into. And we can't deny what people like the Heartbeat Corporation contributed to technology. The Heartbeat Corporation was part of a broader trend in the early 1990s where game developers experimented with fitness and health-related themes, blending traditional video gaming with physical exercise. While not as well known as some other fitness games or exercise programs, it represents an interesting intersection of gaming and physical health. And if you ever see one of these in the wild, I'd highly suggest you pick it up, as there aren't many of these around to my knowledge. I mean, there's barely any videos of them on YouTube. Now, unfortunately, that is what we know of the Sega Heartbeat Catalyst and the Sega Personal Trainer. Thank you guys for watching. Check out other videos if you like. And while you're at it, check out our other playlists. We have a unreleased consoles, unreleased gaming series, and a gaming betas, which we talk about unused content and beta and alpha versions of games. And check out our Twitch and Discord if you want to talk about any other unreleased games or topics in future videos. And I'll catch you all next time.